I want to talk to you about longevity today. If you want to live well beyond the average of your family, you have to be a little obsessive about this. There's two things you have to do. One is avoid all the bad stuff, and the other one is take in all the good stuff. And you're sort of finding it from both ends. Now, we know for a fact, no doubt about it, that the people who do that are going to live to be an average of 90 or so forth. The people who don't do that live to be an average of something like 62 to 65. And there's all the stuff in between. So you can double your lifespan, add 30 years to your life, 25 to 50 years to your life, just by being a little bit obsessive about this. Isn't another 25 to 50 extra years with your grandkids worth it? I think so. Well, I want you to get a hold of that book, Immortality. That's going to give you the common threads that the top 20 longevity cultures have. These top 25 common threads are things you can do in your own home. These people are scattered all over the earth. We spent 10 years gathering all this information, and you can employ these things, and you will add many healthful years to your life. I want you to get a hold of the book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. You're going to learn how to avoid all the bad stuff. Get Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Avoid all the bad stuff. Then you're going to get the book, Immortality. It gives you the top 20 cultures, what they do, the common threads, the top 25 common threads. And you'll just be amazed at how simple these things are. Absolutely drop-dead simple. Now, there is a CD you can listen to as you're driving around. It's called From Here to Immortality. And then, of course, the CD, What Kills Billionaires. Because you would think that billionaires would have the, percentage-wise, they should have the greatest number of 100-year-olds. Percentage-wise, they should have the highest average lifespan of anybody, but they don't. Why is that? Well, they're getting advice from the most expensive doctors. That's the wrong place to go. The average medical doctor, according to their own research, lives to be 56. That's right, 56. And, of course, these people, these top 20 longevity cultures, they have 100-year-old per 250 of their population. Americans have 100-year-old per 10,000 following the doctor's system. They have failed us terribly. Of course, the cost is high. That's why all the assembly jobs and the manufacturing jobs have left the country, not because of greedy CEOs, but because of the high cost of medical benefits that are required by the employees. So, if you don't have to use anything but a $10,000 deductible health insurance for catastrophic events, take your 90 essential nutrients, give your body all the raw materials it needs to maintain itself, and then you avoid the bad stuff. Don't eat fried foods. Don't eat processed meats with nitrates and nitrites. Don't eat gluten. In fact, the newest stuff out, the newest information out, the newest statistics out, the newest facts out on what's going on with gluten, 70% of Americans now are gluten intolerant, 70%. So you're going to see a huge sea change in the grocery stores. You're going to see a huge sea change. And right now, every grocery store has 1 to 2 gluten-free aisles, and scattered throughout the store, you'll see little cards hanging off of bottles that are gluten-free scattered around, plus the aisles that are gluten-free. You're going to see more. You're going to see a change. People are going to be leaving wheat out of things where before they bragged about it. This contains whole wheat. Well, when you look at the old wheat, the ones that were around at the beginning of agriculture 10,000 years ago, and the wheat today has, according to some experts, 40 times the amount of gluten in it. 40 times. If you were minimally, almost imperceptibly sensitive, not allergic, but sensitive to wheat, intolerant of wheat, the old heirloom varieties of wheat, you could eat it a little bit and not have a problem. But today, you just look at wheat and you have a problem. So, this has become a major problem. This kills more people than you can imagine because you're not what you eat. You are what you absorb. And, of course, gluten causes a contact enteritis. Enteritis is inflammation of the intestinal lining. When you get a contact enteritis, your ability to absorb things goes down significantly. And, of course, then you start getting digestive problems, and the doctor puts you on a proton pump inhibitor because he thinks you have acid reflux. And that makes it worse because you can't even digest proteins, absorb B12, can't absorb minerals, and you wind up with 25 diseases you didn't have before. And you say, oh, my God, you got bad genes, man. And then, of course, he can't help you. He runs your treatment costs up, and then you die early. This is all preventable. And, again, I want you to get a hold of that book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. It'll tell you all the things to avoid, okay? And I think the way to keep doctors from killing Americans is this. I want them to have a breathalyzer test when they come to the hospital. I want them to have a urine test when they go to the hospital to work every day. Just think about it. When an athlete wins a gold medal in the Olympics, what's the first thing they do? They get a blood sample, they do a breathalyzer test, and they also get a urine sample. I think the doctor should give us a urine sample and at least a breathalyzer test every time they go in. They should have a blood test once a week. And we're going to find out if the Harvard study was correct. Harvard, about 10 years ago, a guy by the name of Lucian Lepay at Harvard did a study and showed that 52% of hospital staff doctors are intoxicated at any one time. Okay, alcohol, street drugs, and prescription drugs. They have the money. They have the access. And so why should you suffer and get injured, spend a lot of extra money, and die because they were intoxicated? Let's everybody call a representative and say, we insist that we get a breathalyzer test and a urine test every time a doctor walks into his office or a hospital. Protect the patients. We'll be back with Dead Doctors Don't Lie after these messages. Okay, we have Billy sitting in for Doug today. Billy, what pearls of wisdom do you have for us?
Well, I suppose we should start out with this, Doc. Well, I would start out with that if I could make it work. But imagine the fanfare for when you're right again.
Okay.
Because you're right again. People who use certain acid-suppressing drugs for 2 years or longer are at an increased risk of vitamin B12 deficiency, which can lead to anemia, neurological problems, dementia, and other things, according to researchers. They reported this on Tuesday of last week. The drugs in question are the so-called PPIs, the proton pump inhibitors. As you've been saying for years now, things like Prevacid, Prilosec, Nexium, the purple pill, have about 157 million prescriptions written for them a year. A year.
That's just the United States.
Yes. That was last year, actually. 157 million prescriptions written for proton pump inhibitors just last year. And apparently, people who take these medications, as you have been saying for years now, become deficient in a bunch of different things. One of them that they're looking at in this particular study is vitamin B12, a potentially serious problem, according to Dr. Douglas Corley, senior author of the new study, published in the Journal of American Medical Association, because, quote now, this raises the question of whether people taking these medications for long periods of time should be screened for vitamin B12 deficiency. So once again, I wish I could make the sound effect work, but imagine the fanfare because you're right again.
Well, yeah, exactly. You have to know the basic physiology that a freshman medical student learns, or maybe even learned it in your pre-medical studies, and that is you require B12 for a substance your stomach makes to help you absorb B12. You have to have stomach acid to make what's called Castle's intrinsic factor work. It attaches itself to vitamin B12 and guarantees you're going to absorb it. Now, if you don't have a functional Castle's intrinsic factor, no matter how much B12 you take, you're not going to be very successful in absorbing it. And so that's why people go into their doctors once a month to get a B12 shot. Now, you don't need to go get tested to see if you're B12 deficient. If you're taking a proton pump inhibitor, if you're taking a PPI, if you're taking Prilosec, Nexium, and all those kind of things, guess what? You're in trouble. Not only do you have a deficiency of B12, you also have a deficiency of minerals, and you'll wind up with all the different mineral deficiencies. I mean, there's 600 of them. You can wind up with all of them. You can wind up with all of them. That's scary. And then also, you're going to wind up with reflux. And wait a minute, you just took the proton pump inhibitor to stop reflux. Well, that's because they have it wrong. They believe that you have what's called acid reflux. It's absolutely, positively not true. It should be called lack of acid reflux, because when you have lack of stomach acid, bugs, including yeast and bacteria, grow in your stomach, and every time you eat, you're feeding them, and they generate fermentation and gas, bloating, burping, belching, heartburn, and what we call reflux. And that's burping up some of the fluid from your stomach. Now, it'll taste like vinegar. You say, oh, my gosh, it's acid. Well, it's actually a pH of 4 or 5, which is moving towards neutral. For your stomach to work properly and to be able to absorb B12, to be able to digest proteins, for the pepsin to work, the enzyme to digest protein to work, and to keep your stomach sterile to avoid all these bug infections and reflux, you need your pH of your stomach down around 1, about as acid as you can get. So once again, thank you so much, Billy. Super job on that one. All you need is the Youngevity's Ultimate Enzyme. You take that. You take the de-stress capsule, you get plenty of B12, and you won't need the doctor. We'll be back after these messages. Okay, Billy, let's go to callers.
All right, Doc, let's head first to Germany. And Gottfried, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
Hello, Gottfried, you're on the air.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir. How can we help you?
I have a downline in UK who is having problems taking the product since May till now, and his blood sugar is still up.
Okay. How big a fella is he?
He's 170.
Okay, 170 pounds. Okay. And let's see here. What he has diabetes, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's diabetic type 2. He's taking metformin, I think. And he doesn't get anything going.
His fasting blood sugar, Godfrey, do you know what his fasting blood sugar was with the metformin?
Yeah, he said 5, which is the British measure, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know it because they use that in Canada also.
Okay.
With metformin, 5 is just sort of like R100. It's the equivalent physiologically as R100 measurement here in the United States. That's where you want to be, but that's with medication.
Yeah.
And so what I would do for this guy, if he can't get any lower than that without medication, then what I would do is have him take 9 of our Sweeties a day, 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, 3 at dinner. That's 3 bottles a month of the Sweeties. And I have him take 2 of the Healthy Start packs per month. That's 1 ounce of the Osteo FX Plus at breakfast and dinner, 2 scoops of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine Nutra Crystals at breakfast and dinner, and 3 of the EFA Pluses at breakfast and dinner. And that'll give him the optimal amount of the 90 essential nutrients, 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids. And then when you throw in the 3 bottles of Sweeties, that'll give him 9 of those a day, 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, 3 at dinner. And then call me again on him in 2 weeks and 4 weeks and 6 weeks. We'll kind of walk this guy through this because this is a fairly easy one, but he's got to be gluten-free, got to stay away from all the other bad things, and he's got to really work on staying away from carbohydrates and sugars, eat more vegetables, eat more eggs, that kind of stuff. And this is kind of an easy one, and so it's just a matter of kind of tweaking it a little bit. And the goal here is as he gets down below 100, say, let's say he hits 90, I begin to reduce his metformin a little bit. He gets down to 70-something, reduces metformin some more. And when he's down below 80, down below 100, or down below 5 without medication, he's next diabetic at that point. Okay? But you have to do it by the numbers. And give us a call every couple of weeks. Okay, Billy, do we have time to start another one?
No, we're coming
right there. That music answers that question. So what we'll do is just invite you to stick with us. Come back, because we do have lines open, 1-888-379-2552. And we'll be back with more Truth, Justice, and the Youngevity Way on Dead Doctors Don't Lie after these messages.
All right, let's head to Allegheny, Oregon. And Mary, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
Hello, Mary. You're on the air.
There's a little girl. She's almost 6 years old, and she has developed nosebleeds within the last year. When it's cold out, they're heavier, and they take longer to stop.
Okay. Well, nosebleeds can be from simple omega-3 essential fatty acid deficiencies. They can be from bioflavonoid deficiencies. And today, bioflavonoids are moving towards being placed in the vitamin group, or maybe even a whole new group started to fit them in as essential nutrients. In 1994, we declared that bioflavonoids were essential nutrients, and we put them in, for lack of another group, we put them in with the vitamins because they're carbon compounds made by plants. And they reduce inflammation. They support the maintenance of everything from telomeres, which are found in the chromosomes in the cells of blood vessels, even in your nose. And so bioflavonoids, which you find, of course, in certain foods, particularly I like chocolate. Chocolate's a great one. And, of course, we have triple treat chocolate. We have triple truffle chocolate. And this child will just think it's the greatest thing on earth. And so that'd be a good place to start. What does she weigh, you think? 6 years old, she probably weighs, what, 30 to 50 pounds, somewhere in there?
42 pounds.
Okay, 42 pounds. Well, I would give her one Healthy Start pack, and that will last her 2 months. Give her a half a dose every day, and divide that half a dose into half. So essentially, she's getting a quarter of a dose at breakfast, quarter of a dose at dinner. And then I would give her 2 pieces of our triple treat chocolate a day, one at breakfast, one at lunch, or one at dinner. say one at breakfast before she goes to school and one after, dinner when she comes home from school. She could even have 3 a day if you want, one after school and one at dinner time. And then it wouldn't hurt to add some more of the bioflavonoids or the EFAs. And I would do that through more EFAs. I give her the Smart FX. They actually, DHAs and EPAs, they come in little pea-sized soft gel capsules, so kids love them. We also have the multi-omegas, which come from evening primrose oil, is another way to do that. And this is not difficult, but people in America don't traditionally supplement kids with omega-3s and bioflavonoids. They give them calcium, and they give them zinc, and they might give them some vitamin A and B, that kind of stuff. We have to be a little bit better. We got to give them all 90 essential nutrients. And in that 90 essential nutrients, I include the bioflavonoids, triple treat chocolate, multi-omegas, and Smart FX. We'll be back after these messages.
All right, Doc, let's head to the Motor City, Detroit, and we'll talk to Jimmy. Jimmy, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
I got a friend of mine who's 76 years old. He has rheumatoid arthritis with the knotted up fingers. He's got he gets sores in his legs when he gets a cut. He says it takes like 6 months for it to heal. And he's got like the lung pneumonia. And he's had his knees replaced. He says with like the lower leg, it feels like it's loose in there. I told him it probably was, but I told him I'd give you a call for
what do you think
your
it weighs,
suggestion.
Jimmy?
Around 200 pounds, a little more than 200, about 220, I think.
Okay. Well, I'm going to answer part of the question here, and then I'm going to turn this over to Shar because she's seen so many rheumatoid arthritis patients. I think she can do a pretty good job here. Now, it's not unusual for people with rheumatoid arthritis to have pneumonia because the bug, the infection that causes rheumatoid arthritis is caused by a bug called mycoplasma, and mycoplasma is primarily a respiratory bug. Most people with rheumatoid arthritis, if they think back about it, they had some chronic respiratory issues, chronic bronchitis, pneumonia, pleurisy, and it didn't respond real well to penicillin and that sort of stuff. There is an antibiotic called minocycline, which is a member of the family of tetracyclines. It'll kill that bug, mycoplasma, in 2 weeks. Just like you can kill syphilis in 2 weeks of penicillin, use the right tool, the bug goes away. So in this case, it'd be minocycline. I don't like antibiotics anymore. You have to have it. And so in the beginning, or even later on, when people are all gnarled up like a pretzel, like you're describing here, I've used a blend of herbs we call Killer Biotic, and it's amazing. Sometimes a couple of weeks, couple of months, the active infection quiets down because the 8 herbs in that blend, Killer Biotic, actually support the immune system, and 2 of those 8 herbs actually have antimicrobial properties. Okay, so Shar?
Yes.
Okay. What would you do for a 200-pound guy with chronic rheumatoid arthritis?
He needs a healthy bone, two healthy bone and joint packs.
Okay. So it'd be a full dose twice a day. And if he has digestive problems, he could take a half a dose 4 times a day. The healthy bone and joint packs, perfect. And how much of the Killer Biotic would you start him out with?
If he had rheumatoid arthritis, I would take at least 6 a day.
Okay, very good. I might be a little heavier-handed, but 6 a day would be good. 3 at breakfast, 3 at dinner would be 2 bottles a month. And the nice thing about those 2 healthy bone and joint packs, he's also going to get, with each one, a wide-mouth jar of CM cream. You apply the CM cream directly on the joints that hurt, and he's going to get almost immediate, like 5-10 minutes, significant or total pain relief for 3 to 5 hours. So you can use that 3 or 4 times a day. And what I would do, he's going to get 2 bottles of glucogel, 1 with each of the healthy bone and joint packs, and that will allow him to have 15 of those capsules a day, 5 at breakfast, 5 at lunch, 5 at dinner. It actually supports healthy maintenance repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, bone matrix, and bone itself. And I've seen where these knee replacements, hip replacements, shoulder replacements, finger replacements, those things will tighten up again because this nutritional program will, in fact, support maintenance repair, and it'll actually allow the bone to regrow and get a grip on that device and hold it from wobbling around in there. And then he won't have to have it redone. If nothing else, on those ones that he had the operation on, it'll prevent having to redo them. And the joints that he hasn't had it done, the odds are he won't need to have it done. And for those of you out there that have never had a knee replacement and you have been told by your doctor you need one, give us at Youngevity 90 days. Give us 90 days and take one healthy bone and joint pack, like Shar said, one healthy bone and joint pack per 100 pounds of body weight, and you will behold a miracle. You'll be amazed at what happens. And, of course, the whole idea here is to avoid the surgery and get a better job done. Okay, give us a call every couple of weeks, if you would, Jimmy. Let us know how this fella does. And, Billy, let's go to callers.
All right, Doc, let's head to New Jersey and Linda. Linda, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
Yes, hi, Doc.
Hi, Linda.
I saw you on Benny Hinn a couple of weeks ago, and my husband is in end-stage renal failure. He's on dialysis right now.
Okay.
From all of a sudden, he went from healthy to dialysis overnight. From high blood pressure is what they're telling us. And I've been following your archive shows on what you're saying about this, and you are 100% correct. These doctors are telling us that either we go onto a transplant or he's on dialysis for the rest of his life. So we've been moving towards transplant, and he's been cleared, and I'm going to give him one of my kidneys if I have to, but to be honest, nobody wants to belong to this knife and scalpel club if we can avoid it.
Okay, well, it's totally avoidable.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you quickly about a guy by the name of Tug, T-U-G, like a tugboat, 87 years old. Tug was on dialysis for 65 years.
Wow.
Since he was 14 years old, he hasn't urinated. We put him on the program I'm going to suggest for your husband, and in 2 weeks' time, he starts urinating, and in another 2 weeks' time, he's off of dialysis. 6 a day. Or 6 a week, 6 days a week. So how much does your husband weigh?
He weighs 185.
Mm-hmm. Does he have diabetes?
He has no diabetes, nothing. Just the high blood pressure, and they've got him on, several of the medications to keep it low. And they have him on this Renvela, which is a phosphorus binder.
Okay, now, did they tell you what causes kidney failure?
They're only telling us that it was from the high blood pressure.
Well, the high blood pressure could be because of the kidney failure. Because when you have kidney failure, your kidney doesn't like that. It releases a hormone called renin, R-E-N-I-N, which drives your blood pressure up in the hopes of driving more dirty blood through the filtering units. Now, so I suspect that he's actually got the high blood pressure because he had renal failure first. When you have renal failure, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, there's nothing wrong with your kidney. That sounds like a paradox, doesn't it?
Right.
If you have renal failure, how can there be nothing wrong with your kidney? Well, when you look at it under the microscope, and I'm a pathologist, what happens is the little, what's called afferent arteries that carry the dirty blood into the filtering unit actually get plugged. And these things are like 10,000 times smaller than the diameter of your hair, so you can just understand why these little bitty arteries would get plugged before the big ones. And when they get plugged, you can't get the dirty blood into the filtering units, which are called glomeruli. The kidney releases a hormone, renin. Your blood pressure goes up. Then the doctors check you out, and they say, oh, man, your creatinine's 5 or 6. That's approaching the range where you want to get on to dialysis.
Yeah, normal he was at 13, his creatinine, when he went in the hospital.
Yeah, well, they would talk about dialysis or a catastrophic kidney failure. They could put you on the kidney transplant list, and then they go home and buy a new car. And so, Shar?
Yes, Doc?
Yeah, you've seen people with kidney failure before. What would you say, 185-pound guy, what would you put him on?
Absolutely. He needs the Ultimate Daily to clean those arteries back out again.
Perfect. Well, 185-pound guy. I'd put him on the Healthy Heart and Brain Pack because anything to do with arteries, the odds are he also... Does he have any beginnings of dementia, any little forgetfulness or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Does he have any coronary artery disease?
No.
Okay. Well, hang on. We'll be back after these messages. Get your pen and paper ready, Linda, because we're going to give you a program we believe will support and promote healthy maintenance repair of the kidney function of your husband after these messages. Doctors Don't Lie on the ZBS Radio Network. Dr. Joel Wallach here for Youngevity 90 for Life Crusade. And Billy, let's go right back to New Jersey and Linda. Okay, 185-pound guy, 2 healthy heart and brain packs per month. That'll allow him to have 1 full dose of each of the 6 products in there at breakfast, 1 full dose of each of those 6 products at dinner. It's good for the vascular system. As Shar pointed out, I would give him 2 bottles a month of the Ultimate Daily tablets. They're designed to support and promote healthy blood flow through obstructed and blocked arteries, support and promote healthy blood pressure. I'd have him take 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, 3 at dinner, and that'll be accomplished by 2 bottles of the Ultimate Daily tablets. Give me a call in 2 weeks. I want to know his blood pressure. I want to know anytime his doctor, does a creatinine test, any other tests that he's going to do. Let me know about urine volume and all that kind of stuff. And this is easily quite managed. We do this literally thousands of times a year. Look forward to hearing from you, Linda. Merry Christmas. Okay, Billy, we got time for one more.
We do, sir. Let's go to Bella Vista, Arkansas, and Joe. Joe, you're on with Dr. Wallach.
Hello, Joe. You're on the air.
I have a niece that has a Cairn Terrier, and she has no platelets. Can you be of any help?
How old is this terrier?
How old is it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not real sure.
Is it an adult or is it a 3-year-old puppy?
No, it is an older dog.
Okay. All right. Do you know what she's feeding the dog?
No, not right offhand. I do not.
A lot of these little bitty dogs, a lot of people try to make their own diets and,
No, I know she gets dog food from the veterinarian, but I don't know what kind it is.
Good. Very good. Well, but anyway, when you don't have platelets, that always means that there's a nutritional deficiency. It can be from malabsorption. It can be it's just not in the dog food, or they may be getting sort of a dog food designed for medium-sized dogs, 35 to 50 pounds, and Cairn Terriers usually weigh less than 5 pounds. And so,
this one's more than 5 pounds, I can tell you that. I have seen it. It looks like it's overweight.
Well, it probably is if it's over 5 pounds. And so, but usually they're 5 pounds, and if you get a dog food designed for a 35 to 50-pound dog, they can't eat enough of it, get all the right ratios and amounts of vitamins and minerals. So I'd give that dog a half a scoop of our Arthrodex in his food every day. I would also open up a capsule of de-stress capsules and give one whole capsule, the contents of one whole capsule in his food, mix it up real good. And it's all the raw materials necessary for the bone marrow to be happy and make good red blood cells, good platelets, and good white blood cells. It's a matter of nutrition. The bone marrow requires an enormous amount of nutrition because it's busy. It's constantly making red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. And so that's where I would go. It's not genetic because the dog just sort of acquired this disease in his older age. It's not a 3-day-old puppy that might be born with something like that. Sort of an inborn error of metabolism, which is a birth defect caused by nutritional deficiencies when the bone marrow is forming. And so that's where I would begin. And obviously they can give blood transfusions to that dog, but it's a pain in the neck to have to do that every couple of weeks or every month. And so I would go the nutritional route. And then give us a call every couple of weeks. Let us know how this dog is doing. Give me a little more information. How much does it weigh? How old it is? And so forth. I want to know the analyses label on the dog food. I want to hear what that says. I want to know if that dog food is designed for a toy dog or if it's just a design for a medium-sized dog. Okay, let me hear from you, Joe. Now, how much time we got here, Billy?
Got about 45 seconds.
Okay, Shar, what would you like to say to people in 45 seconds?
Again, my whole credo, take as good a care of your body as you do your car. You'll be much better off for it. People take better care of their cars than they do of their own body, their own castle.
How would you give a generic advice in one sentence? What should people take care of themselves before they get sick?
Healthy Start Pack every day, based 100 pounds, one Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight, and you'll do good.
Yeah, you can add 25 to 50 healthy years to your life. Again, as we started out the program today, avoid all the bad stuff, do all the good stuff. Why not be there for your grandkids 25 to 50 years longer? Doesn't get any better than that. Well, thank you so much, Shar. Super job. Thank you so much, Billy and Susan. Superlative job as usual. God bless each and every one of you. God bless our troops. God bless our Navy SEALs. And God bless America.